face during my long dark nights of the soul is being a normally function adult or human. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Megma and I am an ego alchemy coach. I help people who are on this journey of spiritual ascension to understand their journey and embrace a life of authenticity, sovereignty, and truth. Today I wanted to discuss a few ideas and maybe tips around how one can manage their daily responsibilities, chores, work, household stuff, 3D life, if you may, while going through the intense process of a dark night of the soul. While experiencing my dark nights of the soul, the common themes that would play around me is being very exhausted from the continuous internal battle, wanting to be isolated from society, friends, spacing out a lot, crying a lot, bouts of major anxiety and depression, and this sense of existential crisis. As if I woke up into this life just today and I'm not sure how I got here, okay, and I'm questioning everything that has transpired before this moment that got to me in this point and trying to figure out what is happening to me, because it feels that I am changing and the way I am showing up in the world, at least during these days, is somehow different from the other people around me, and I feel very, very disconnected from anything. And even as it is disconnected from your own identity at that time, which could be of an employee, a mother, or a wife, a sister, or all the male counterparts or whatever I just said. So no gender bias here, just talking from a personal perspective. During a dark night of the soul, what happens is our old past programming's way of behaving and relating to the world, which at that version of yourself kind of helped you to get your needs met. Now these needs could be financial, physical, mental, emotional needs to be met, like to be accepted by your family or friends, to feel belonged, okay, and not feel attacked and stuff like that. So a lot of patterns, unconscious patterns that we learned unconsciously and then applied into our life, thinking that these are helping us, but it was actually dimming our light, like people pleasing or playing the victim in situations, complaining and blaming others and complaining about money, feeling lack all the time, being fearful, not taking risks, and not really giving yourself the chance to live up to your potential. And there could be like millions of layers of incidents and thought processes and belief systems that have kept you into a life, a structure that hinders your freedom, it suffocates you. And just to suddenly be aware of that, to wake up and find yourself in this life that you have created and accepted because you believed this is it, this is what you deserve, and you do not deserve greater freedom, greater abundance, greater love and relationships. And this is a very tough process to think about and go through and integrate. It takes time because it takes a lot to forgive ourselves, forgive others in our life, totally accept that okay, this happened and I do anything about it except to learn those lessons, really be mindful about them and integrate them and implement them going forward. Now this talking about the steps like took me 1 minute, but applying them, really inculcating this new way of behaving and showing up for ourselves takes months. Okay, so if you are in this process for a while now, please don't be frustrated with yourself. It is normal. Changing your own psyche is not a plaything and should not be done in a rush and should not be taken lightly. Okay, this is about your whole mental realm, which basically runs the entire show that we call life. Another thing that you will also notice while going through your dark night of the soul is this happening in kind of a spiral process. Okay, for example, you are currently dealing with 2-3 memories or narratives of your life around maybe your parents or your relationship or your finances. Let's take that 2 examples, and you are dealing in deciphering those patterns and unlearning them. So to unlearn something, first you have to be aware and observe what you need to unlearn and how you can rewire it. So when you're going through this process, and you might think, okay, fine, now I understand my problems or my relationship with my parents, and I think I have a good understanding of why I perceive certain things in ways that might not be the entire truth, but it has been my truth for a very, very long time, and it does not need to be that way anymore. And you try to move on to the second, third, fourth pattern or narrative that you want to work and transform, and you will see that you are brought back to the square one. Like after trying to go and think about the other narratives, you are somehow brought back to the first step that you started, and this might make you feel like you're back to square one and you back where you started. I just wanted to put this part in this video because it's very important to understand and accept the spiral nature of the healing path. And once you are mindful about it, you would know that it seems that you are in the starting point of the square one because of the spiral nature. Never you digress on your healing. Every layer of healing that you do, work yourself. Every time that you stop a negative thought, old narrative, and overlap it with your new story or new narrative, you progress, and that progress is never lost. I just wanted to put that in here because if you are already struggling with your 3D life, your responsibilities, and there is this internal crusade, this internal battle happening, and if you think you're losing at both, it can be very demotivating. Okay, I'll come to the 3D part, which is actually the main objective of making this video, how we can manage our 3D responsibilities, chores and stuff. I'll get to it very shortly, but I wanted to mention this, okay, because if you start tripping on that, oh my god, I am losing my shit, I'm not even able to come out of these thought patterns as quickly as I want to, because I want to get back to my life, be a good human, be a responsible adult, I need to do this, do that, and all that stuff. That could be counterproductive. It will make you more disappointed or discouraged. So I just wanted to remind you that you should remind yourself about the spiral nature of the healing process if same things are coming around. But if you look a bit closer, observe it a little more, you will understand there are nuances that are different this time, just coming up to be observed and understood from a different perspective, a different nuance this time. It's always a little different, so don't let that trip you. Now that we have an overview around what this dark night of the soul process it, what kind of experiences and disturbing and excruciating thoughts we have to experience and go through and integrate in order to complete this process, see to the other end of the tunnel of this process. So what the entire theme was, if you think about it, that is happening inside your brain, inside your head. It's all in the mental space. And on the outside, the maximum thing that other people will see in most cases is you having darker eyes patches, because you have been up all night or crying a lot, and you are exhausted from your mind blaring the entire day and going through all these extreme edges and into memories that has no business to be in your consciousness in this now moment, when you are maybe cooking your meal of the day and you're reminded of this time when you were playing with your friends in your kindergarten and you felt isolated or left out. I mean, what's even that doing right now when I'm making this food? That's the thing about healing, and especially healing trauma. It can pop up to be looked at, to be loved, to be understood and accepted in any moment of the day. Like I just said, the dark night of the souls are an internal crusade. It's a battle and trying to reconcile with your old traumatized parts, your shadows, and integrate them into your light and pull yourselves together. Even the parts that you have, disowned or buried because of your traumas and stuff. So this is a lot of work internally, and it brings up old pain and old traumas, and the experience is real time. If you are purging or working through an incident that happened back in your teenager years, the linear time difference doesn't matter, because you will feel the pain in your real time, and that's painful, that's exhausting. So the thing I asked myself is, if I, God forbid, met an accident and broke a few bones, would I force myself or pressure myself to do all the things that I usually do, or will I be forced to accept that I have ripped some nerves, it's painful, and I'm going through this recovery process, and I need to give myself as much time and space and healing and care and love needed to go through this, make the most of this recovery, and so that I can come back into my full action mode. But now is not the time to try to be in my 100%. It's not possible. But since I did not have physical evidence to kind of explain this to people around me, and often it happens when you are going through this process, the people around you are not. So if this is the case, I totally understand. It's how will you even explain this to them? And you are also, but I haven't broken a leg, right? So do I even deserve to be cut some slack, to take a back seat? So this is a process, and I'm sharing all these different nuances and different narratives that goes on. But the moral of this part is, go out and try to express that you're going through a hard time and you need help. Maybe you need people to delegate some of your tasks and responsibilities in the house or at work, or maybe you just need people to give you mental space. Don't come and ask me about 10 advices a day like maybe normally your friends do, because you are going through your own shit. What I found, that it was easier for people to relate to certain symptoms of dark night of the soul and empathize with them, which were depression and anxiety. Even though deep down I could at least feel that this is not just depression and anxiety, this is something entirely freaking happening, because I am not anxious about, oh my god, oh what will happen, not in a very conventional way. I'm not anxious about 10 different things randomly. This anxiety, this shortness of breaths and this pain and this being depressed is, after going through this for a while, of course you start to pick up patterns around that, and you understand that this is not just your daily medical grade anxiety depression. This is something else happening with your mental space, and that actually may get in the way of asking for help, because to me sometimes it feels like lying. And if you are stuck in this same conundrum, take it from me, it is not lying, because these are legit symptoms that you may be facing. Now the next tip, and this might even trigger you like you are shitting me but this is actually the only most practical thing that I applied, and I believe me, it comes with a lot of price, but it is the last resort. You have to apply this on some days which are really bad, you are barely, days on which you barely want to get out of the bed. Bad. This is do the bare minimum. Do the bare minimum. And if that word, that statement made you cringe, it means you are kind of an overgiver, and you have this subconscious belief that the world won't revolve if you weren't there to do your job and stuff. But that's not it. You, like all other creatures, animals, humans, have the right to rest, to rejuvenate, to recalibrate. And dark night of the soul is exactly the process of recalibration. Deep cellular psychological recalibration, and that requires you to be in a metaphorical hospital bed, not in a bad way, but a dedicated space where you're allowed to just rest and focus on more recovery. So if you are not even on a literal hospital bed, and I hope you are not, but create that metaphorical, healing environment for yourself, and remind yourself that this is like a medical recovery. It is hard because it doesn't show on the outside, and we are kind of programmed and trained to hide our struggles and appear all heroic and awesome all the time, and that gets in the way, trust me. And so I also developed a structure around doing the bare minimum, which is I made a list, okay, and this list had 3 columns. The first is like I must do this. The next column, I would love to get to this as well, and a third column where I need to do this for myself. Okay, the first column is all your urgent, high priority, hanging over your shoulders like a skeleton and giving you more anxiety, and you will feel a lot more relief once you get to all that, goes in the first column. And I should do this at least weekly or even sometimes daily on a day-to-day basis to restructure and reprioritize, depending on how much energy and mental clarity I could afford that day. And the middle was I would love to get to this, some tasks that if you get to do this today or this week, then you will get a head start for your next week or the next day. So that will give you a head start, and it's not urgent. You do not by any means have to get to it today, but if you do, it would give you a head start and kind of clear out your schedule a bit. And the third is I need to do this for myself, are self-care and self-loving practices. It could be take a nap, by just cutting off from the world, from phone, from TV, from people, and just being with yourself and surrendering to the process and doing all that. Maybe it could be journaling, it could be taking a spa day, it could be I don't know, talking to a friend, and basically making you feel loved by yourself. Now, on my worst days, where I could barely imagine getting out of bed, I would choose one from the first pile and one from the last one, at least one that are urgent and I should need to get done right away, and one from the last pile where I do something to show love to myself, to show support and presence, and that hope to myself. Very important, very helps you with the process. And if someday you are feeling like absolutely unmotivated, pick one or pick two from the last column and do things just for yourself. Okay, oftentimes we go around life trying to just show up for our responsibilities, for our duties, and not really showing up for ourselves. And that actually got us into this whole mess in the first place, to be honest. Okay. Now, that also continues to the pattern that I have experienced personally, is having euphoric periods of time as well. Like someday I'll just wake up and feel that I am out of the woods, I can take on the world, and let's call them the good days, and obviously make the most out of it, but never ever skip introspection, self-reflection, or self-love practices. That is third column. Never skip that. Just because you have extra energy, you don't just pour all that into your tasks and responsibilities, because today I have got the energy, so I'll do everything for the external world. No. You prioritize yourself. Okay, your self-care, your self-evolution, because it's exactly what you're going through. This is happening. So facilitate that with love and affection and presence. Now I completely understand that how hard doing the bare minimum can be, especially if you are a parent, or you just take care of somebody else, or you have a lot of household responsibilities, a very demanding job. Even the bare minimum can look like a huge mountain to climb, and I empathize on that with you. I understand. And to be transparent and honest about my experience, I was having to deal with a job that I was not resonating with it at all suddenly, and it was a very demanding job with long hours and urgent tasks all day and things blowing up all the time. And I was dealing with that job while being in a mental space where hanging out with my favorite people, my coolest friends, seems to be a lot of work. My original thought was, especially if you are taking care of another person, whether it's your kid or somebody else, and not being able to show up for your duties, or it could be about being an employee, which was my case, not being able to show up and deliver and over deliver kind of thing, actually increases that chances of tripping on shame, guilt, unworthiness, not being good enough, not doing good enough. These are basically human constructs through which we somehow measure our worth. We measure our worth depending how much we do, how much we produce every day. And we also sometimes put pressure on ourselves to do better than we did yesterday. Like this, the curve has to just go up. That's not life. That doesn't happen. Even seasons goes in circles. Seasons have time to bloom and blast, and they have time to quiet down. go underground, wear a blanket of snow. That's natural life, that's the natural rhythm. So why am I telling you this is to look at yourself, your life, and what you're going through as a natural process and surrender to it. Surrender to the fact that you need rest and love and care, even though you do not need to go and lie in a hospital bed. And that just makes it harder for other people to empathize. But you don't need that to empathize with yourself. You don't need to break a leg and be on a hospital bed to understand that you are healing from wounds that are invisible to these eyes because of the mechanism, the way they work. But those wounds are real. Feelings are as real as our visuals and whatever we see through our eyes. These images are found in the brain. Both of this neurotransmitting information goes to the same place and builds up our stories, builds up our perception. What I'm just trying to say is it's all real. So you don't need to be physically in a very bad position, very bad position, to empathize with your own struggles. Okay? So don't gaslight yourself out of this process. Allow yourself to heal. To end this video now, I'm going to talk about around 7 different things that you can incorporate in your routine to give you a little more energy, a little more clarity to actually go through and deliver your tasks, to get to your tasks, to do your responsibilities while allowing yourself to heal. And the first one, and the most important one, and this applies for any situation in your life, in your spiritual journey or ascension journey, is to love yourself. Love yourself like the universe loves you. Love yourself like the angels and the gods love you. And they are just happy that you exist, and they love you for just being. So on your hardest moments, I know this is even difficult to do, but extend that love to yourself. Okay. Now, the 7 things actually that will help you to have better energy throughout the day is, first of all, do something that makes you feel alive. It could be listening to some good upbeat healing frequencies and music that helps you raise your vibration. It could be making painting or hanging out with really good supportive people in your life. So do the things. It could be gardening also. That's a very good way to raise your vibration. So do something daily, 10-15 minutes or an hour, whatever you can afford, to raise your vibration. Something that makes you feel alive, something that makes you forget of your perceived worries and anxieties. Number 2 is breath work. If you are getting a lot of anxiety and depression, you will feel very constricted here. And when we constrict and restrict our breathing, our energy levels goes down automatically, and it makes us feel even more exhausted and more lethargic. So during this time, just mindful breathing, and it could be as simple as taking a long deep breath from all the way from your navel to your lungs. And just exhaling all of it out. Okay, and you exhale your worries out, and you inhale the power, the source that is all around you, the light and the love that is swirling around you, even you can't see it because it's just a light frequency. Breathe that life force in and long exhale to release your tightness, that constriction and restriction. So this is just a very simple breath work that you can do, anyone can do any time of the day whenever you are feeling the need to, and just do in the morning after you wake up and before going to bed. that would be really helpful. And in between, whenever you feel the need or reminded, to just take 5 mindful breaths, and it will work like wonders. Okay, number 3 is journaling. Okay, when you are just moving around with these thoughts in your head, right? There are these multiple things going on, these themes and worries and past regrets and patterns and future anxiety or whatever. Write them down. If you remember on the earlier part of the video, I talked about how this is a spiral process and we come back to the same narrative with a little bit nuance to understand it on a better perspective. This repetition of spiral can be reduced, like, you know, let's use the term reduce, like you will make it, the entire process, making the process a little more faster. Sorry, is journaling. Dump all that out into a journal. Okay, if you have seen Harry Potter, the image that comes to my mind is Dumbledore taking out memories and just dumping it into pensive or storing into weight bottles, because it's best to just store them away and pull it out from your mental. So just dump it out on the journal, and you will notice for yourself that it is speeding up the process of healing, the process of understanding the patterns. Because when you write down, you read it back, you understand what is going on in your head much better, and you do not have to, you know, come back to the same narrative over and over again to have a better understanding. So it does reduces the entire the overall time process needed to go through this. Okay, the 4th is prioritizing, and make yourself your biggest priority. Make yourself the first priority, because this is your healing journey, and going through this journey and you bringing your total love and awareness to this journey is not only going to heal you, but as you heal, it will heal your family, your friends, and the people around you, and consecutively the whole planet. So your healing is that important. Okay, prioritize your healing, and then obviously prioritize the task that you need to get to. Not everything needs to be done. Be honest with yourself. Be real with yourself. What is really important? Do you really need to go on that friends gathering that you don't want to, that you're not feeling like, you feel like staying with yourself a little more? It's okay. You can have another gathering. You can just prioritize what you need in this moment and what absolutely is needed to be done, and what doesn't. And when you do that, prioritize and cut off things that are unnecessary. When you get to do the things that you decide to do, you will show up with a way more better mindset, like, I'm glad to have the opportunity to do this. Okay, and you would be much less pissed about having work to do. Okay, 5th is the to-do list that I discussed, is having 3 lists of tasks or to-dos. First is must do, like a lot of is hanging and at stake on this task, must get to them ASAP. Would love to do, like not necessary but might give me a head start. And 3rd is should do, need to do for myself, is the self-care and 3rd column. I've already discussed this in the earlier part of the video, so you can refer to that. One thing about making this to-do list is don't go overboard with it. Okay, do not like jump in every single thing that's popping up in your head. Keep in it bare minimum as well, because you have to remind yourself you are going through a recovery, you are healing, and you need time, space, and rest and love and care to see through this process, okay, and come out stronger. This is recovery. This is not the end of your life. This is a phase that you're going through, and it shall pass. And when you're experiencing a good day, do not overdo it. Do not spend all your this newfound suddenly emerging energy into getting to a task. You'll redirect a lot of it into your self-healing, self-care, and making yourself feel better. Otherwise, immediately the next day you will again experience a crash. This is something coming from absolute personal experience. Been there, not fun. Don't do that. Be very moderating with yourself and pamper yourself. You are God's child. Something that I experienced was the lack of people who would understand what I'm going through, and I'm sure a lot of people out there face the same problem. But the good thing is there are a lot of online communities of people who are walking this path, who have either in the same position or a different point. Whatever you see it on a linear scale, it's not a linear path. Everybody is going through a different journey, but we are on this similar evolutionary process, and we understand what's happening with you, and we can share our experiences, and it is even energetic support, just holding space for you to transform, to heal. And that makes a huge difference in your vibration, in your healing process. To find a community online and be a part of it. If you resonate with me and my work, I am also putting together my own spiritual community. It will be called the Ego Alchemy Tribe. You can find the link in the description box below, and check out the page and see if this is something that resonates with you and you want to be a part of. The membership is free, and it's just easy as sharing your email with us. So I hope I'll see some of you there, and we can help and facilitate each other to walk this journey, to heal and to ascend. The last 2 points on this, like how to be more productive or taking care of your task and stuff, is to express yourself. Like if you're struggling with something, let people know in the best way that you think they can relate, comprehend and empathize, and just let them know that you need help. Express it. Don't keep it all inside. Just because it's happening in your head doesn't mean it's not real. Paraphrasing Dumbledore, very wise man. Okay, and lastly is feel your emotions. If you are mostly in a public setting during the day, at work, or maybe in a large family setup or friends or whatever, it might be difficult to process emotions, especially if it's coming up as this need to cry and let it out, maybe sing or scream. Find yourself that time to go through that. It's very important to let all these emotions purge out physically, but if you try to suppress and trap it, it will make you feel more anxious and heavy, and it will take away all your energies. Okay, so yeah, express and feel your emotions. Okay, if you do not have people who would understand or empathize with your experience, it's common. You are not alone in this. A lot of people have gone through this challenge, and it's one of the most heartbreaking and confusing and painful to face. But it's okay. The communities are out there to help you, to support you. I am holding space for you and love for you as you heal, but allow yourself to feel ugly, cry, scream, write down everything that's coming to your mind, vent it out, but be healthy about it. Do not harm yourself or anything else. Be healthy about it. And if you're struggling a lot, you can reach out to me and I'll see what I can do to help you. My heart and my love goes out to you. I hope this video helped you in understanding how you can show up better for your responsibilities while experiencing a dark night of the soul. Let me know your thoughts and feedback in the comments. whatever you share as feedback or suggestions or even questions really helps me to put out more comment out there. By the way, that really reminds me, and I wanted to mention it right at the beginning, but Sarah from Stockholm reached out to me as a comment in one of my earlier videos asking about this question, okay, like how we can manage our tasks and responsibilities while experiencing this. And that empowered me, enabled me to share this entire video with a lot more people and to help more people. So if you would like to contribute in that way, just drop it in the comments and I'll take care of the rest of it. So yeah, thank you. You can visit my website ego.alchemist.com or follow me on Instagram for a little more bite-sized info on spiritual awakening and ascension. So okay, I'll sign off today. I won't keep you any longer here. Bye bye. I love you.